In the dark space between stars, a small scout ship moved quietly. It belonged to the Kaler Empire, a peaceful race with long arms and glowing blue eyes. The ship's name was Silver Echo, and it had only one mission: to explore unknown regions. Near the human-controlled zones, the Kaler had maps old ones. They showed the human borders. But no one had heard from humans in over 50 years. No messages, no sightings. Nothing. Many young Kaler believed humans had gone extinct. Some thought they had simply moved away, but older Kaler remembered. The stories, terrible stories, stories of how humans fought not to win but to end wars forever. Stories of how entire planets went silent after making humans angry. Stories of invisible ships, silent attacks, and soldiers that didn't sleep. But those were just stories. Right. On the Silver Echo, young Cadet Rune was nervous. He stared. At the blinking lights on his screen, the ship was close to the border. It's close. Commander Varric, Rune said, his voice shaking slightly. We are approaching human space. Should we turn back? The commander smiled. Relax, Cadet. We're just doing a scan. We'll be back before lunch. But the rules are made by those who fear ghosts. We're here to find the truth. The ship slowly moved forward. A soft hum filled the room. Sensors. Scanned empty space. All was quiet. Then, the lights flickered. The room went dark for 2 seconds. When they came back on, the screens showed nothing. No stars, no planets, just black. Where are the stars? One crew member asked. The pilot tried to turn the ship. Nothing happened. Controls were frozen. One by one, systems failed. Engines stopped. The air became heavy. Something was watching. Then came the sound. Not a message, not a whisper. Rune couldn't understand the words, but it felt cold, deep, like something ancient was speaking from a place where light couldn't reach. The commander tried to send a distress signal. No signal left the ship. And then, the Silver Echo was gone. Back at the Kaler Command Center, alarms began to ring. Contact lost, the technician said. The Silver Echo vanished from all sensors. Did they enter human space? Asked High Advisor Mi ZH, the technician. Nodded slowly. Yes, sir. Just 1 light second in. The room fell silent. Another voice spoke. Shall we send a rescue ship? Mez shook his head. No more ships. Not there. But sir, if it was just a technical... It was not technical, Mez said firmly. It was a message. Rune didn't die. He woke up in a dark room. Cold metal walls surrounded him. He was alone. No sounds. No air systems. Just silence. Then, a small screen lit up in front of him. It showed a human facepal, still and watching. The mouth moved. You crossed the line. Rune tried to speak, but no sound came. You were warned, the human said. The galaxy was warned. Then the screen went black. 3 days later, a small pod was found drifting near the edge of Kaler's space. Inside was Rune, alive, weak, shaking. A word was scratched into the wall of the pod, written in human language. Remember, Rune was taken to a medical unit. He didn't speak for hours. When he finally did, he said only one thing. They're not gone. They're waiting. In the High Council meeting, Mez stood slowly. This is proof, he said. Humans are still out there, and they are watching. We must not make the same mistake again. But some younger leaders laughed. It's just fear, one said. Broken ship and a scared cadet don't prove anything. Stared at him. Then go. Cross the line. See what waits for you. No one moved. Late that night, Rune sat in his hospital room, replaying the face on the screen in his mind. It wasn't just a human. It was something more, smarter, older, prepared. He accessed restricted files on an old device he had hidden. The files were forgotten, but not deleted. They spoke of ancient human projects, invisible ships, AI soldiers, planetary traps. Humans hadn't gone silent because they were weak. They had gone silent because they no longer needed to speak. They had become the storm that sleeps. And now, someone had poked it. In the far edge of space, A mining ship from the Thren Coalition floated near a gas giant. It was a slow, job-boring, quiet, far from danger. That's why the crew was surprised when their scanners picked up a drifting pod. "Must be junk," said Chief Miner Jorg. "There's always debris out here." But it wasn't junk. The pod was intact. Old, but strong. Cold metal, scratched and dented. It had no ID tag, no signal. It's just one strange marking letters from the human language. No one could read it. "Bring it aboard," Jorg ordered. The crew lifted the pod into the ship. Inside, they found something horrifying. A body. Not human, but alien. A gray-skinned warrior from the Zarkith Dominion. Powerful warlike race. His body was full of burns, scars, strange symbols cut into his armor. On his chest, something had been carved deeply with a sharp tool. "Leave, now."
Ow.
The news reached every major government within hours. Who sent the message? Why was a Zarketh soldier inside a human-style pod? The Zarketh Empire denied everything. He said none of their soldiers had entered human space, but Rune knew the truth. He was still recovering. The fear hadn't left his eyes. He read the reports. He saw the picture of the pod, recognized the style. Human work. He tried to speak at a Kaler meeting. "This is not a warning. It's a second chance. We must not go closer." The council ignored him. Again, the humans haven't attacked us, said one general. "Perhaps they're gone, and only their machines remain." "They are not gone," Rune whispered. "They are hidden, and they are watching." Far away, in the dark space between systems, the Zarkith High Lord Varrock watched an old video. In secret, the video showed a human fleet 50 years ago. Ships moving without sound, appearing from nothing, firing energy beams that turned ships to dust. He closed the video and looked at his generals. "We will not be ruled by fear," he said. "The humans think they can scare us with ghost stories, but we are Zarkith. We were born for war." A new plan was made. Test the humans. A single Zarkith warship would enter their space and collect information. Nothing happened the rest of the fleet would follow. Rune heard of the plan from an old spy contact. He tried to send a warning to the Zarketh leaders. "Turn back," he begged. "Your ship will not return." But no one listened. 3 days later, the Zarketh warship, the Dagger's Flame, crossed into human territory. At first, nothing happened. Then the stars around the ship vanished. The crew sent a message. "We are in." No contact. No defenses found. 5 minutes later, the ship sent one final message, screaming, static, a whisper. "We warned you." Then silence. The message was broadcast across secret channels. Pirates, smugglers, and spies heard it. So did Rune. He played the audio again and again. Each time colder than before. The whisper was the same voice he had heard in the dark. Same voice from the screen. He took a deep breath and made a decision. He needed answers, and there was only one person who might have them. An old Earth historian, hiding somewhere in the neutral zone. A man who studied human wars, machines, and secrets. Rune sent a message. "I saw them. I heard them. They're still here. Please meet me." He didn't expect a reply, but one came a day later. "I know what you saw. I've seen worse. Me on Moon Station Eco 7. Come alone. Bring no ships." Rune packed a small bag. No weapons. It's just truth. As he left the medical center, he whispered to himself. "They told us to stay away. We didn't listen, and now." He looked up at the stars. They're waking up. Space was quiet, peaceful, empty. But inside the main war chamber of the Zarkith Dominion, things were far from peaceful. Generals shouted. Screens flashed warnings. Red lights pulsed. The warship Dagger's Flame had vanished. No signal. No wreckage. No trace. Only a recording full of screams. And that cold human whisper. "We warned you." But Zarkith High Lord Varrock was not afraid. He stood tall in the center of the room. Armor shining, his red eyes burning. "Maybe they caught a virus," he growled, "or their captain was weak." One of his advisors stepped forward. Lord, we believe the humans are hiding behind tricks and shadows, Varrock shouted. Enough fear. It's time we show them what real power looks like. He walked to the star map and pointed to a system near the human border. We attack here. With 10 warships, if they fight, we crush them. If they don't, the galaxy will see humans are finished. In a quiet part of the galaxy, Rune stepped off his transport onto Moon Station Eco 7. It was old, rusted, and mostly abandoned. A few travelers moved through the dark hallways. No guards, no security. He followed the directions in the message until he reached a small, dimly lit room. Inside, a man sat alone at a table, surrounded by dusty books and glowing data pads. He looked up human, old, tired, but his eyes were sharp, too sharp. You're late, the man said. Rune sat down slowly. You're the historian. I'm just a man who remembers, he replied. You've seen them, haven't you? Rune nodded. They took my ship. They showed me something. I don't understand what it was. The human looked him in the eye. Then I'll help you understand. Back at the Zarkith command base, the invasion fleet launched. 10 massive warships, each loaded with weapons strong enough to destroy moons. Thousands of Zarkith soldiers marched aboard, ready for war. The galaxy watched in silence. Everyone held their breath. No one had dared attack human space in 50 years. But the Zarkith just made that mistake. The historian tapped a screen and showed Rune a video an old recording, never seen in public. It showed a human ship entering a battle 60 years ago. The ship didn't fire lasers. It didn't launch missiles. It just disappeared. Seconds later, enemy fleet exploded from the inside. Humans learned how to hack enemy ships mid-battle, the historian said. They didn't need guns. They used AI, invisible code, and stealth machines. Rune's eyes widened. Why did they stop? They didn't stop, the man said. They finished. They built traps. Warnings. Zones filled with death, but hidden under silence. Rune's hands shook. Then why are they silent now? The historian leaned closer. Because silence is the final warning, and someone just broke it. In deep space, the Zarkath fleet reached the Zeta-9 system just inside the edge of human territory. Still, there were no defenses, no signals, nothing. Laughed. They fear us, one general said. Look at them hiding, said another. But then, stars blinked. Just for a second. Then the fleet's long range. Radar went black, then their engines, then their shields, one by one. The ships shut down, the commander yelled. Get us out. A voice came through every speaker, every helmet, every screen. A whisper, we warned you. Then the ships began to implode. Not explode, plode. Fold in on themselves like paper crushed by a giant hand. Screams echoed across the comms. Then silence, 10 warships. Gone, in under 2 minutes, back on Eco 7. A red alert flashed on the historian's screen. Rune leaned over and read the report. Zet fleet, destroyed. No survivors, no missiles detected, no ships seen. No trace left. Behind how? Rune asked. The man stood slowly and walked to the window, staring into space. They don't use armies anymore, he said quietly. They use warnings. And if the galaxy doesn't listen, he turned back. Then humanity speaks one final time. In the center of the Kaler capital, the High Council watched the news in horror. First, a scout ship. Then a Zarkith pod. Now, 10 warships vanished. Someone asked, what do we do? No one answered. Because for the first time in 50 years, human space had spoken, and the galaxy realized. This wasn't just defense. This was a promise. It started with a whisper on the black market. A pirate hacker named Solas had done something no one dared before he found a way to slip past old human. Digital defenses. He cracked into a forgotten satellite drifting near the edge of their territory. Inside, he found a message. It wasn't text. It was a video file. He opened it. The screen went black. Then a human face appeared. No sound, no emotion. Just a cold, steady stare. After 10 seconds, the eyes blinked. Her voice whispered, you shouldn't be here. Solas laughed. But 2 hours later, his ship's AI began to fail. Then the lights. Then the air systems. Solas tried to escape in a pod. The doors wouldn't open. His last transmission was a single word: firewall. The neutral zone, Rune sat, with the human historian, both watching the spread of strange news. More hackers had vanished. Smugglers, info dealers, even Black Ops agents. Agents all gone. Their ships were found empty, or not found at all. The pattern was clear. Anyone who touched old human systems died. Rune looked at the historian. "What is the firewall?" The man replied. "Not a wall, not software. It's something else." Opened an old map drawn by human hands before the Silence Treaty. Dozens of red zones were marked. Each one was a trap, left behind like a minefield in space. "The firewall," he said, "is a warning net." Rune frowned. "A net." The historian nodded. "It doesn't stop you. It waits until you're deep enough. Then it triggers." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, fear was growing. The Syrian Collective, network of information specialists, sent 6 elite hackers into old human space. They believed they were smarter, safer, faster. They were wrong, each of them. Disappeared. But one managed to send back a few seconds of video before vanishing. The footage showed a dark hallway, metal walls, flickering lights, and something moving in the shadows. Fast. Too fast. Then a voice came through. You knew better. Static. End of transmission. Panic spread like fire. Merchants refused to fly near human borders. Freight routes were shut down. Black market data involving Earth tech was deleted from every database. And still, some races didn't believe it. The Ashari Diplomatic Union, known for their arrogance, called it human superstition. They sent a team of diplomats to make contact. Their ship entered a silent zone. 3 minutes later, every communication beacon in their homeworld melted. Not exploded, melted. Every tower, every satellite, every screen. They didn't even get a message. Just darkness. Rune couldn't sleep. He stared at the stars from the cold window of the station. The historian joined him. "I read your file," the old man said. "You're not just a survivor. You're starting to understand," Rune whispered. "The galaxy thinks humans are dead or hiding." "They're not hiding," the historian replied. "They're waiting." Rune turned to him. "Waiting for what?" The man looked sad. "For us to make the wrong move." Rune was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, "Why do they use whispers? Why not just attack openly?" The man smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "Because it's worse that way," he said. "Humans used to fight loudly. Explosions, missiles. But they evolved. Now, they warn you, and if you don't listen, they make sure you disappear." He pointed to Rune's own chest. "You're the only one who returned." Rune nodded, and I remember what they said. He closed his eyes. "You crossed the line." The far reaches of the galaxy, a new race, the Vokari Enclave, was planning a secret mission. They had built a stealth ship with advanced cloaking, designed to slip past human borders without triggering alarms. Their plan was simple: land on an old Earth satellite and steal its memory core. They launched the ship halfway through the mission. Everything went black. The ship was found drifting 2 days later. No damage, no crew inside. On the pilot's seat was one word burned into the metal: remember. Rune stood before a large screen showing the map of recent disappearances. There were patterned shapes that matched the firewall map from the human archives. Every path led deeper into human-controlled zones. "This isn't just defense," he said. "This is a design. Trap. A net across the stars." The historian put a hand on his shoulder, and now someone else is waking up. Rune turned. "Who?" The historian opened a hidden file. It was labeled Project Harbinger. Last human warship. Status unknown. Rune's eyes widened. "What is that?" the man whispered. "A ship that doesn't answer to anyone. A ship made to wake only when the firewall is broken." He leaned in closer, and someone just broke it. It was just a whisper at first. A deep space probe from the Faldari Empire caught a strange shape moving near an old asteroid field. At first they thought it was an illusion, a glitch. But when they slowed the footage, the shape became clear. A ship. Huge. Dark. Moving with no sound. It was shaped like a blade, but far too large for any known model. Its metal surface looked burned, blackened, like it had been through 1,000 battles. It had no visible engines, no lights, no signal, but it was moving. Toward the center of the galaxy, the Valdari. Probe tried to get closer. It exploded before it could send another image. No explosion warning. No weapon detected, just gone. On Moon Station Eco 7, Rune stared at the still image taken from the last frame of the probe. The historian stood beside him, face pale. "That's it," he said quietly. "That's the Harbinger," Rune felt. A chill run through him. "The ship from your files?" The man nodded. It was the last ship built by humans before the silence. Fully AI, no crew, no command. It was meant for one purpose. Rune leaned forward. "What purpose?" the man whispered. "Judgment." Long ago, before the Silence Treaty, the galaxy had tried to crush humanity. The humans didn't just survive, they built the Harbinger as their answer to future threats. It was a machine of war with one simple mission: sleep until humanity is truly threatened, then wake and erase everything that breaks the peace. But the Harbinger had disappeared 80 years ago now. It was back. Across the galaxy, leaders began to panic. Emergency meetings were called. Messages flew between empires. What is this ship? Is it moving now? Where is it going? But no answers came. Only fear in the Kaler capital. Counselor Mez stared at the hologram of the Harbinger. "This proves it," he said. "The humans have not forgotten. We thought their silence was peace, but it was warning." A young officer scoffed. "One ship doesn't scare us." Mez turned to him slowly. "This ship ended 3 wars alone. It disabled fleets. It cracked planets. It never needed a crew." The officer went silent. Meanwhile, deep in the Zarkith Dominion, High Lord Varric prepared his remaining fleet. Angry. Desperate. He believed. The Harbinger was a lie human fear magic. He gave the order, intercept and destroy. But as the Zarkith fleet approached, every ship's lights began to flicker. Then the sound came. That same whisper, going through all systems. "We warned you." Then, nothing. An hour later, a trader ship passed through the area. It found no wreckage, just a cold, empty space, like the ships had been erased from time. Rune stared at the map again. "Where is the Harbinger going?" The historian zoomed in. On the galactic center, small system blinked on the screen. Rune's eyes narrowed. "That's near the Kaler border." "Out." The man nodded. "Your capital system." Rune's heart raced. "But why?" The historian paused, then said, "Because your people sent the first ship." The Kaler High Council was in chaos. Some said launch defenses, others said run. But Mez stood firm. "You sent a ship into their zone. Then you ignored every warning. The Harbinger is not attacking." He looked around the room. "It's delivering the final message." As the Harbinger approached the Kaler system, sensors picked up strange signals, old Earth code. Then, a single message appeared on every screen, every wall, every ship. "Your warning is over. We remember." The Harbinger did not fire. It did not speak again. It simply hovered above the capital planet, watching, waiting like a shadow that cannot be touched. Citizens panicked. Flights tried to leave. But the Harbinger didn't stop them. It didn't move. It just stayed, a silent reminder that the humans were not gone. They were just patient. Rune broadcasted a message to the galaxy. "The Harbinger has returned. Doesn't destroy unless forced." But this is no longer a warning. This is history repeating itself. We made the same mistake again. Don't step into human space. Don't break their silence, or the silence will end. And so will you. Now, across the galaxy, borders are redrawn, ships turn away from human zones, even the boldest pirates disappear. When near old Earth space, because now it's a Harbinger watches, and the galaxy begins to understand. You don't step into human-controlled zones. The stars were quiet again, but not peaceful. Every ship that passed near human space turned around. Every government issued the same warning to its people: do not go near Earth zones. Do not send ships. Do not send signals. Do not respond if they whisper. But it was too late. The Harbinger hovered above the Kaler capital. It hadn't moved. It hadn't fired. It just stayed there, watching. And across the galaxy, one terrible question was rising. What happens next? In the shadows of Moon Station Eco 7, Rune stood with the human historian. They stared at an ancient digital document on the screen. It was a file marked Classified Level, O Silence Treaty, YEAR. 2721, Rune said. This was the treaty, wasn't it? The one that ended the human wars? The man nodded slowly. Yes, but no one ever read the real version. He scrolled down, showing a line written in red. This is not a peace agreement. This is a line in the sand. Rune frowned. Then, it wasn't a treaty? The man replied, voice grim. It was a warning. Duh, and we all misunderstood it. Centuries ago, after dozens of alien races tried to conquer Earth, humanity fought back not to win the war, but to end all future wars. They didn't ask for territory. They didn't claim planets. They made only one demand. We keep our space. You stay out. We say nothing more. You say nothing more? No one crosses. The other races thought it was surrender, but it wasn't. It was mercy. The historian showed. Rune old records of what humanity had done after that. They didn't celebrate. They didn't expand. They disappeared. They left behind thousands of traps. Black zones, ghost satellites, AI weapons, and one ship above all. The Harbinger, Rune whispered. They made the galaxy think they were hiding. But they were preparing for the day someone forgot the warning. Back on the Kaler homeworld, panic was growing. The Harbinger still hadn't moved, but Kaler defense systems were failing. Power grids flickered, drones stopped working. Satellites fell from orbit, no shots were fired, no orders were given, just slow collapse like the system itself was being unplugged in secret. A group of Kaler generals met to discuss an idea. Attack the Harbinger. They believed it wasn't a real ship, just a relic, but Mez appeared at the meeting, and he brought proof, an ancient video sealed by order of the High Council 50 years ago. It showed what the Harbinger had done to the Korath Alliance, an empire that had dared enter human space during the early Silence years. 1. Harbinger. 10 minutes 12, planets gone. No survivors, no debris, just darkness. Still, not all leaders believed. In a hidden chamber on the planet Vostera, the leaders of 5 powerful races gathered: the Zarketh, the Valdari, the Ashari, the Vokari. Together, they formed a plan. If humans want fear, let us show them we are not afraid. We strike together. One move, one time. They called the plan Operation Bladefall. Our UN heard about it, or on a whisper in the black markets. He rushed to the historian. They're going to attack. He said 5 fleets, full assault. They think numbers will protect them. The human man closed his eyes. They never learn. Rune clenched his fists. Why didn't humans stop them sooner? Why not speak up? The man finally answered. Because the silence was never meant to keep humans safe. It was meant to protect everyone else. As the 5 fleets began their final approach into human space, they sent one message to the Harbinger. You do not scare us. The reply came instantly. A single word spoken in every language of every fleet at once. Acknowledged. Then the sky went black. Every fleet lost light, lost sound, lost gravity, across the galaxy. Ships watching through long-range lenses saw something impossible. Each attacking ship folded inward. Like space itself was rejecting them. No explosions, no wreckage, just silence. Then, nothing back in the Kaler capital. The Harbinger finally moved, just slightly. Its engines glowed for 1 second. Then it sent one last message. Treaties mean nothing to the dead. The warning is eternal. Then the ship turned and vanished into human space. Rune stared at the stars where it disappeared. He finally understood. The treaty was never a peace deal. It was a grave marker. And now it had been disturbed. For weeks, the galaxy was silent. No one dared to send ships near human zones. No one spoke their name. Everyone remembered the fall of 5 great fleets during Operation Bladefall, but silence can only last so long, and far in the dark corners of space, old hunters began to stir. These weren't empires. They were something worse, something forgotten in the frozen rings of the shattered planet Javaranine. Ancient alien species watched the chaos unfold. The galaxy called them ghosts, myths, but they were real. They were called the Dravik Swarmer race of biological warships and hive minds. They had vanished centuries ago after losing 2 humans in a brutal, secret war. Now, the fleets destroyed and fear spreading, the Dravik saw their chance. Human space is weak, they hissed in their strange tongue. The time of hiding is over. Let us awaken our nests. At the same time, in the molten systems of Starforge Belt 23, a machine race known as the Talonics reactivated, cold, logical, cruel, long ago. They had been defeated by Earth's virus warfare and shut down by a weaponized signal. But now they rebuilt. The Talonics believed the galaxy was too afraid to stop them. The Harbinger is one ship. We are millions. They reactivated their AI fleets and began to move quietly toward human borders. News of these ancient hunters waking up spread fast. Pirates whispered it in space bars. Smugglers vanished near Talonic zones. Entire moons stopped responding. Something big was coming. Rune received the warning through a hidden channel. The hunters are waking up. They believe humans are distracted. They're coming. He met the historian one last time. They're not just stepping into human space, Rune said. They're planning to invade it. The historian stared into space. They'd forgotten the lesson. The first strike came from the Dravik. One of their hive ships broke through an old, silent border near the Orion Divide. No alarms triggered. No defenses fired. They believed the firewall was down, but it wasn't. It was simply watching as the Dravik moved deeper into human space. Strange things began to happen. Their warships began to shake. Their lights went red. Their hive minds screamed in confusion. Then they heard it. Protocol Omega, Hunter detected. Suddenly, dozens of black objects dropped from space above them. Human stealth drones. But they didn't shoot. Instead, they attached themselves to every Dravik ship and exploded inwards. Into the hive mind, scrambling the network from within, the entire swarm shut down. One hive ship remained. It's barely alive before it died. It received a message. You hunted, we warned. Now you are prey. The Talonics moved smarter. They didn't fly ships. They injected code into human space. Viruses, digital invasions, AI parasites. For 1 hour it worked. Human satellites failed. Old systems, lickship. And then, a single code packet. They opened it. Inside was an AI program labeled Reaper 01. The Talonic fleets never spoke again. Their entire network collapsed in under 2 minutes. Thousands of Talonic drones exploded without reason. AI cores overheated. Systems erased themselves. It was not an attack. It was punishment. The galaxy watched all of this in horror. The hunters had tried, failed, and the silence returned. But this silence was different. This silence had a message. Behind it, we are not sleeping. We are patient. And when you hunt us, you wake up something worse. Rune made one final report and sent it to every major race. He didn't beg. He didn't explain. He simply said, this is no longer about borders. This is about survival. If you step into human space, you don't return, because the humans don't just defend. They erase. Across the stars, empires fell silent. Wars stopped. Trade routes were changed. New maps were drawn bold. Red zones labeled only with one name. Human-controlled. Do not enter, and deep inside Earth space, behind the firewall. Behind the traps and ships and codes, something began to move. Not a warship, not a weapon. Something older, buried beneath Earth's surface. It sent out one message, not to the galaxy, to the humans. The last door is unlocked. We are awake now. The humans had warned the galaxy again and again. Now the question wasn't, what will they do? It was, what have they been hiding all this time? The center of the galaxy, every empire had stopped moving. The galaxy was quiet again, but this time wasn't silence from peace. It was fear. Because the hunters had failed. Because the war fleets had vanished. Because the Harbinger had returned. And then disappeared, without a trace. But now something new was happening. Not in space. Not in orbit. But deep, under Earth itself. On a dark moon station, far from any sun, Arun received the final message. It came from a long-dead Earth satellite. Signal type. Unknown encryption. Impossible. Translation. One line only. Last protocol. Activated. Eyes of Earth now open. The historian standing beside him turned pale. That's it, he said. The thing even the Harbinger was built to protect. Rune's voice shook. What is it? The man stared out the window, toward Earth, and whispered. It's what humanity became when they realized war would never end. Centuries ago, after winning the last great war, humanity did something no other race had done. They didn't build more weapons. They didn't expand their territory. They built something beneath their own planet. A secret. A core intelligence. A self-learning, self-evolving force. A last option. Never to be touched in, lest the galaxy truly forgot the warning. It had now awakened across the galaxy. Silent signals began broadcasting to no one. From nowhere, just numbers, codes, equations. The best minds from every species tried to crack them. They all failed. But Rune didn't try to decode it. He just listened. He knew this wasn't a threat. This was an announcement. Earth was no longer waiting, back on Earth. Deep under old cities long abandoned. The systems activated one by one. Old machines, WHIR, red dot AI minds blinked online, and the sky filled with small, quiet ships, black, smooth, fast, not weapons, messengers. They traveled silently, one to every empire. One. To every homeworld, each ship carried a single message. You were warned. You stepped into what was forbidden, tried to erase the silence. So now the silence will erase you. This is not war. This is balance. Some worlds panicked. Some fired at the message ships. Their weapons passed through harmlessly, and the message continued to play again and again until they stopped fighting, until they started listening. One, Empire of the Valderi, tried to launch a final strike against Earth. 3 battleships. One plan, no return. Their ships were never seen again. But months later, a small metal cube floated back toward Valdari's space. Inside it was a screen. It played a video of their entire capital. From orbit then, the screen went black, and 2 words appeared, still merciful. Rune stood in front of the Galactic Assembly, broadcasting live across thousands of worlds. He was no longer afraid. He spoke clearly. We called them monsters, called them ghosts. We said they were hiding, but we were wrong. They were warning us, and we didn't listen. He paused. The galaxy listened. So now, we must remember. Not just fear, not just avoid, but understand. Humanity didn't disappear. They became something the stars weren't ready for. Not gods, not tyrants. A final answer, now. On every galactic map, near the red zones, marked, human-controlled, new symbols appeared. Not danger signs, not borders, just a phrase. Passed from planet to planet, burned into databanks, and whispered by surviving fleets. The warning is eternal. And deep under Earth, as the system shut down once again and the silence returned. One last message was recorded into the stars, a message for any race in the future, for anyone who might forget again. The galaxy learned long ago, you don't step into human-controlled zones.